Well, back home, a new project which is going to combine producing solar energy with a battery storage project has now received all of the financing it needs to start construction, to start building it, which means there should now be solar energy coming into the grid from the system, from the project in the Northern Cape by, hopefully, Christmas next year. The company building the project is SCATEC. Its General Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa is Fourie. Jan, good afternoon to you. How's this going to work? How are you combining solar panels with battery storage?
Hi, Stephen. Pleasure to be here. So these facilities that we're building in the Northern Cape, I mean, we've been building solar plants in the Northern Cape for a couple of years. And when the government came out with its so-called risk mitigation program, when was that? Back at was it August 2021? We decided to embark on this journey to show the world that renewables can be dispatchable, and that it's achievable, and that it makes sense from a cost perspective even then. Even though a lot of people didn't believe that it can be done, we decided that that's what we'll do. And these projects that we started developing back in 2014 for the READ program back then. But along the way, we knew that the future of renewables would include batteries. So we decided to add the batteries in the permitting as well. And this was the kind of the great opportunity for us then to, at scale, build these projects. So we'll have a big solar field of 540 megawatts with 1.1 gigawatt hours worth of batteries all on the same site. And then these would work in unison. When the sun shines, we provide power to the grid and charge the batteries. And at night, or when it rains, or when there's no sun and we need to put power into the grid, then we draw from the batteries. And that's effectively how it will work.
Okay, so you're basically using the sun, you're charging. So I presume at any one time you're probably only putting in a certain amount of electricity into the grid. When the sun is shining, you're probably putting about half of what you produce into the grid and half into the battery to give you power for later.
Yeah, correct. So as you would hear from the numbers itself, so the capacity of the project is 150 megawatts, but we've installed 540 megawatts worth of solar and 1.1 gigawatt hours worth of battery. And the reason for that is both because we need to be available for 16 and a half hours from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night. And then also, as you know, winter and summer, you need to cater for those hours, the seasonality in there. So we had to over-install the solar to be able to cater for those eventualities. And that's why the sizes are different. But we know that we can deliver on the promises that we've made to government.
I don't know if there's a lot of seasonality in the Northern Cape. There was a heat wave in the Richtersveld 2 weeks ago while the rest of the country was freezing. How difficult is, and I'm very interested in the battery project, what kind of batteries are you using? How big is the actual installation? We all know what a solar panel looks like. I know what a Duracell or an Ever-Ready battery looks like. This is obviously something different.
Yeah. So the site, the whole site in its totality is about 10 kilometers across. It's not a square, so it's not 10 square kilometers, but it's about, from top to bottom, it's about 10 kilometers. That's mostly taken up by the solar arrays. And then the battery area, all of these batteries are co-located, is an area of about 2 hectares that will be covered by, it's actually a bit less than that, but it's a relatively small amount of space relative to the overall site because of the energy density of the batteries. And we're using lithium-ion technology batteries for this project.
The price of battery power, some people tell us that it's coming down quite dramatically. Is that true? I mean, you're actually in the business. Is the price of battery storage coming down?
Well, Stephen, the devil is definitely in the detail there. So the trend in lithium-ion batteries over the last couple of years have definitely been strongly downwards, as you previously saw, for example, the solar modules. But with a lot of the supply chain disruptions in the world, and because lithium is becoming a hot commodity also for EVs, there's actually been a fair amount of uptick in the price of the batteries that we've seen of late. But at least we've been able, in our projects, we've been able to deal with that. And because we also the engineering, procurement and construction contractor, we're very close to the supply chain of the project. So these are eventualities that we've covered ourselves for. Yes, over the last couple of years, costs have gone down, but in the short term, there has been some price fluctuations.
I know that we have, I think, only one producer left who produces solar panels. Are you buying South African solar panels?
So we're actually buying a combination of international and local panels. The local market and local suppliers are not at the capacity where they can produce a sufficient amount of panels to service the local market. But there are local content requirements on us, so a percentage of our modules would come from South Africa, but the majority is still being imported.
How much does it all cost? I mean, if you put it all together, never mind all the financing costs, bankers can make anything 3 times more expensive than it needs to be. To actually do it, how much does it cost?
So the overall project value is just over 16 billion rand, 16.4 billion rand in total. But obviously there were some development costs and lots of other things involved as well. So the number of 16 billion is all inclusive, and the financiers have not made things look 3 times as much. And that's then funded by debt and equity, and that covers panels, modules, everything. So we're roughly talking about $1 billion investment that'll go into the Northern Cape because of this project.
So it's $1 billion to get 150 megawatts of dispatchable power into the grid.
On a renewables basis, and I think the very important thing to notice is that for the rest of the life of the project, the running costs are going to be kind of relative to the investment, actually fairly small, because all the fuel are already catered for. I mean, the capex investment is big because it also caters for the fuel that you need over time for the sun to shine effectively. So we don't have to buy gas or diesel or coal or anything else over the lifetime of this facility.
If you look at everything that you're aware of in your industry, do you think that cost of around 16 billion rand to get 150 megawatts into the grid is going to stay the same, or do you think it'll go up or down?
I think over time the cost will actually go down. As the market starts to stabilize again, after the supply chain disruptions we've seen, the cost of logistics coming down, I think my sense is that the price is going to come down.
Fourie, thank you very much indeed. It's fascinating to see how this is changing. The Sub-Saharan Africa General Manager for the solar company SCATEC. Interesting to see what's happening. Interesting to put the costs together as well. Well.